Ugh, my hair's all wet. Team Rewatch has a little hair flip show so that I could look like Bunny from Pulp Fiction for a second. All right, whatever. Welcome back to Spooky Saturday. I'm not going to play the song. Oh my God, I have the hiccups. I have my favorite snack that I'm going to ignore for the entire stream, as I usually do with my dip, my sunflower butter dip. All right, this is going to be a good one. I mean, for you guys. I brought you some good things, some fun things. For me, it's going to be Race Against Time, because I still have to do a bunch of stuff. But, you know, what are you going to do? Hi, Bunny. You look so insecure. I wonder if I turn that light on, it'll be better. I love you, Bunny. You're my bunny that I love. Oh, I gotta change that whiteboard. It's not correct. Get that out of the way. So you can see it in the mirror instead. Much better. Oh, both. Both. Oh, Jesus God. How about that? There. I don't even know why I have half of this stuff on. Why is this even here? What's going on? What's happening? Team Rewatch gets to see how bad it used to be. Golly. How about that? Oh, that's better. Hi, Kathy Lee. The weather news. Burr. Yeah, it's freaking freezing. It's cold everywhere. Oh, well, I'm thinking about it. Membership, gifting, send 5 now. I don't know what good it does to send out my memberships. Leanne, Carla, awesome. Membership, gifting, send 5 now. Now you guys can watch my old stuff. Message redacted. Pomp, Tina, Giselle, yay! That's cool. Cool. I think one of them must have said that they wanted it but couldn't. I don't know. I don't remember. All right. I'm going to see if I can. Every time I try to share my screen, it dies. But then again, it dies anyway. So we're going to try to do it so that I can see the chat and also the stuff I want to share with you. Let me see. So if I move this over here and then this over here, I should be able, I don't have to see me, to see the things I'm going to share with you. Yay. All right. So for those of you who come later, don't say it. Let's see. I have some jokes from 1872 for you. Hi, Tina. Hi, Giselle. Oh, whoops. Hi, Tina. All right, jokes from 1872. I got 3 of them that I found in an old newspaper. This is stuff that is super interesting. Of course, yay! I'm glad you got it. Super interesting stuff that I found in the newspapers when I was looking for something else. And then I saw these like next to the article I was looking for, and I was like, what does that say? Well, let me check it out. So these are jokes. I found a couple of jokes, and I thought, I'll just clip that out and keep that. So one says, "Why do you call me Birdie, my dear?" inquired a wife of her husband. "Because," was the answer, "you are always associated in my mind with a bill." Take my wife, please. 1872. Humor. Humor. This one says, a thing of beauty is a joy forever. Is it, my boy? Marry it, and you will find it very much the reverse. But I'm womp 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 womp. But it says Punch as if that's a quote from Punch. So maybe Punch and Judy. I don't know. I got one more joke from 1872 for you. And I like this one. Have you heard my last speech? Asked a political haranguer of a wit. I sincerely hope so, was the reply. Uh, so I have found some really, I know, right? I have found some really cool things on accident. Like I said, while I was looking for other stuff, mostly true crime and like ghost stories, and I would happen across uh, something that seems to have been a consistent, uh, like one person that worked for this particular newspaper seemed to have their own little thing, which doesn't have a byline because it was before newspapers said who wrote the articles for some reason. But this one person, I think, seems to have been saddled with or has taken on their own debunking in the 1800s and early 1900s. And I have started putting together an entire album of historic debunks from the newspaper talking about paranormal activity that they debunk. And they explain what it is and what's happening. And it's so fun that they used to do this. And I want to share it with you. Oh, I forgot to keep my. Yeah. So I'm going to start doing like a debunk of the week, I think. Like as I find them, I'll record them and then schedule them on YouTube and just have them like backed up and ready to go. And I think it'll just be like a really cool series of shorts where I'm just like, hey, here's your historic debunk of the week or debunks of history or something. I don't know how to, not of history. They're not debunking history. I have to figure out like a catchy title. But it's something I just came across and I thought this is really cool. But before we get to that, I want to introduce you to someone I found on accident next to an article about a body that was found. And oh boy, you guys are in for it. This is from 1871. Oh no. Oh, that's right. It starts down here. Way down. It's called A Scientific Testing of Mr. Home. Home, Mr. Home. And I stumbled across this on accident, but it's super interesting. So I thought I would share it with you guys for Spooky Saturday. So it's Spooky Saturday. And I'm using my computer so that I can look at these. I was going to share the screen, but I think that might interrupt my screen. So it's not going to be full of trolls probably tonight. So we can read these in peace. We won't have all the horizontal public live stream people flying in here. Okay, so check this out. This is from 1871. And this, oh, is it snowing where you are? Oh my gosh. Kathy's cold too. I'm freezing. I mean, it's not comparably, it's not that cold where I am as it is where you guys are probably. But I'm cold and my hair is wet and I have to go back out tonight. I was closing the park. I got as much done as I could by myself because it's dark as night out there, and so someone has to hold the light so that someone else can, like, one person has to hold a light or there's no way to finish the work. There are no lights out there at all. So once it gets dark, like, the work stops unless you have two people. So I'm going to be going out there hopefully holding the light, because I was packing up the trash from like 3 huge parties that were here today, and it was getting so dark that I couldn't really see, and so I tried to use my boot to like stomp down the trash so I could tie a bag. And as I pulled my foot back out, something like white kind of fell, like came up with my shoe and then fell onto my other shoe. It was a cupcake. I stepped on a cupcake, and the frosting's all over the bottom of one shoe and fell onto the top of the other. It's all in my bootlaces. I stepped on a cupcake, you guys. I got to put those boots back on tonight and finish the job. Single digits? Bull. No, thank you. No. Oh my God. Feet of snow. You guys are making me cold. Ohio. My boots are frosted. That's how cold it is. um, yeah, I think it's like 50 degrees here, so it's not that bad. I'm gonna look actually while we're here. Hopefully this doesn't interrupt my stream. 50, exactly 50 degrees. Bam, I'm good at this. That's like the second time I've done that today. Ah, burr. My mom sent me one that said -1. She's in Arkansas. It's cold as F out there. And it's like January. It's late January. What's the deal? Anyway. All right. So I found this guy, Mr. Home, a scientific testing of Mr. Home, the popular science review for July, which is edited by Mr. Crooks, an eminent chemist. Gesundheit. Ooh. Ooh, stretch it out, bunny. Yeah. Big bunny yawn, big bunny stretch. Sorry. What were we doing? Oh. Okay, so Mr. Crook's an eminent chemist. I can smell them. I want some. So we have an eminent chemist and a fellow of the Royal Society of Psychical Research or whatever. Contains an account by himself, partially confirmed and attested also by Dr. Huggins, the eminent astronomer, whose great and quite recent services in relation to the astronomical applications of spectrum analysis, nerd, have been acknowledged in all quarters, and who is one of the distinguished members of the Royal Society of Psychical Research, and by Mr. Sergeant Cox. Guys, that's his real name. His first name is Sergeant, like a dog. Anyway, Mr. Sergeant Cox, both of whom were present, and some very curious experiments made on Mr. Holmes' asserted physical powers as a medium, as it is called, though, of course, no countenance is lent by the experimenter or his friends to the hypothesis of the agency of invisible beings, of which the word medium is remnant. So they're like, he says he's a medium. I don't know about that, but we're going to test him out. So these are like 3 Kenny Biddles in a tree. Nothing's wrong with it. But the sergeant of them. Here we go. Mr. Crooks and Mr. Sergeant. Why do they it's like they cannot say just Mr. Cox. It's always Mr. Sergeant Cox. Both seemed convinced that these experiments prove the existence. This is 1871, okay? Prove the existence of a peculiar force which they call psychic, proceeding directly from the nervous system of specially constituted persons, and which is exerted independently of the muscular system, probably propagated, suggests Mr. Sergeant Cox, who, as the least scientific, is the rashest of these speculative inquirers, though that nerve atmosphere of various intensity enveloping the human structure, which Dr. Richardson has discovered. Dr. Huggins, the most eminent scientific man of the three, is by far the most cautious and reserved in his statements. He gives, in his general adherence to Mr. Crooks's account of his experiments, quote, "Your proof appears to me to contain a correct statement of what took place in my presence at your house. But as to one of the most curious facts involved in it, namely that an accordion continued to float about, quote, without any visible support in the copper wire cage contrived for it by Mr. Crooks, after Mr. Holmes' hand had been entirely withdrawn, and under these circumstances, to play musical airs without being touched by any hand. Dr. Huggins states that his position at the table did not permit him to be a witness to the withdrawal of Mr. Holmes' hand from the accordion, though he writes to Mr. Crooks that, quote, such was stated at the time to be the case by yourself and by the person sitting on the other side of Mr. Holmes. He adds, quote, the experiments appear to me to show the importance of further investigation, but I wish it to be understood that I express no opinion as to the cause of the phenomena which took place. So this guy, hey, Prism, what you doing? Oh, good night. So this guy said he was a medium and that he had some sort of telekinetic powers. So these three scientists got together, some more skeptical than others, and they said, we're going to have you do some tests, just like Kenny Biddle. And they said, come to my house. And they didn't tell him anything about the tests. They didn't tell him what they were going to do or how they were going to do it or what they were going to test about him. And one of them had built like a Faraday cage out of a bird cage, and they put an accordion inside it, and they put it underneath a table so that he wouldn't even see it until they were talking about it. And then they had him, and I'll read the rest of the article, but I'm just explaining um, what like what went on. They had him stick his hand in this small opening at the top and touch the accordion, because I guess he said he has to touch it at least once or something. So they had him touch it, and they had their hand on his hand, and they said his hand didn't move, and the accordion started to play a song that they recognized, that the guy recognized that was touching it, but they had never heard the song before. And then he took his hand out, and they were still touching it, and one guy on either side of him had their foot on his foot so that he couldn't be doing anything with his shoes. I don't know what he would do to play an accordion, but or his feet. And the accordion continued to play the song that he had been playing, I guess, with his mind powers. I don't know how it works. It's crazy. They both got under there and made sure his hand was not touching it at all. It's just really weird. But that's not the experiment that blew my mind, that they had set up, that he didn't even know they were going to set up. It was their accordion and their Faraday cage and their stuff. So smart, Mr. Prism. Let's see. So then he says, Dr. Huggins' evidence is of the greater weight, so far as it goes, from the great caution and reserve with which he gives it. He appears to confirm generally the accuracy of Mr. Crooks's description, except as to the performances of the caged accordion when Mr. Holmes' hand was removed, but he evidently does not regard the experiments as going further than to justify and even show, quote, the importance of further investigation. Even this, from such a witness as Dr. Huggins, is remarkable testimony. So he's like, I don't know how it happened, but I can say that that is what I saw. He has no debunk. He just is like, yep, that's what happened. But what was the precise nature of the facts to which supposing them to be, this is written in 1871, so sorry about the language, it's very flowery. But what was the precise nature of the facts to which, supposing them to be amply authenticated by future tests, such as Dr. Huggins himself would regard as satisfactory, these experiments point? It is this, that in the presence of certain specially gifted or specially organized individuals, whether the facts, if true, depend on the organization or on the power of will, or on the nervous sensibility. In a word, on what they do depend, is at present all a matter of speculation. A force develops itself, which produces without contact many of the results of muscular effort, and some of the results of muscular effort directed by a trained musical taste and ear. For example, Mr. Crookes, all whose test machinery had been prepared without the smallest knowledge on Mr. Holmes's part. Mr. Holmes, seeing it for the first time when he entered Mr. Crookes's house, had prepared a mahogany board. Now, this is the one that I would like to understand better. If anybody can figure this out for me, I would like to see it or understand it. Somebody please explain like I'm 5. So there's a mahogany board, 3 feet long by 9.5 inches wide and 1 inch thick, and one end of which rested on a firm table, and the other was supported by a spring balance hanging from a substantial tripod stand with a self registering index attached. So part of it's on the table, and the other side of it's hanging off the table, but it's being held by a spring that has like a weight, like a scale on it, and it tells you how much pressure is being put on the board. Okay, it measures like a scale. Okay, thus any pressure exerted on this board at any point nearer to the balance than the spot where it was supported on the table tended to depress the end supported by the balance to an extent registered by the index. The board moving around the table supported end as round a fulcrum. Huh. Help! Mr. Crooks, to test the balance, stood on one foot at the end of the board nearest to the table, and Dr. Huggins said that the whole weight of his body then applied, 140 pounds, only sank the index at the other end to an amount equivalent to 1.5 pounds if applied to the balance end when he stood still, and to 2 pounds when he jerked up and down. I don't know what that means. I can't picture it anymore. Somebody stood on the board and it said 1.5 pounds. I don't know what that means. Uh, okay, jerked up and down. Mr. Holmes, sitting in a low easy chair, simply applied his fingers lightly to the exact point where the board rested on the table, so that even hard pressure there would have only had the effect of securing the fulcrum instead of depressing the other end of the mahogany board. And under these conditions, the opposite end, so he's touching the part that's on the table, which wouldn't really do anything. And he says he lightly put his fingers there, like a Ouija board, baby Bowser. So he's putting his fingers lightly on the end of the piece of wood on the end of the table just to make contact with the wood. And the opposite end, where am I? Okay. Applied his fingers lightly to the exact point where the board rested on the table, so that even hard pressure there would have only had the effect of securing the fulcrum instead of depressing the other end of the mahogany board. And under these conditions, the opposite end was depressed by amount which varied as if in waves between 3.5 and 6 pounds, which was the maximum attained. So a 140-pound man, his full body weight on it was 1.5 pounds on the other side. This guy barely puts his fingertips on there, and it's 3.5 to 6 pounds of pressure on the opposite side. So something, either he's telekinetically putting tons and tons of pressure, well, not literal tons, on the far end, or he's got a ghost that's super strong, and that's crazy. That's crazy, because if they can move something with that much pressure, they can do quite some damage, I would think. So, anyway, here we go. This experiment was in some respects the most curious, as being one which was in every respect the most above board, both literally and morally, and which was apparently fully attested by Dr. Huggins as well as by Mr. Sergeant Cox and Mr. Crooks. If repeated often enough in the presence of competent witnesses, it would undoubtedly show the real existence of some new force not due to muscular exertion. I need pictures. Yeah, me too. So did they how did he do it? I was reading these. That mahogany board one is fascinating to me, but it makes me wonder if this guy was a really skilled magician because he's like the cage playing an accordion sounds very David Copperfield to me. And so I thought maybe this guy's a really good magician where even scientists can't figure out how he does the trick. But it sounds like a trick to me, but I cannot explain how he did it. Um, so now I can get into more detail. With the mahogany, maybe. I have no idea how wood behaves. But there had to be a reason they chose that wood. One of them's a chemist, so I think he would know like the properties and stuff. So here they explain the accordion thing in more detail, and I still don't know how it happened. The other experiment was made with an accordion imprisoned in a drum-shaped cage of Mr. Crooks's own invention, the cage being made of laths of wood and copper wire to prevent access from outside. But this cage was placed beneath the table, and though Mr. Sergeant Cox and Mr. Crooks both seemed to have watched it there and to have taken what they believed to be very careful guarantees that Mr. Home was not juggling, there can hardly be so much confidence placed in the reality of the facts asserted as in the case of the lever experiment. The cage was so made as to surround the accordion entirely, but not quite to touch the top of the table, leaving space enough to admit one of Holmes's hands so far as to enable him to hold the accordion by the top. You know how it has like a handle on one side and a keyboard on the other. So he could hold it. It's my Weird Al knowledge. Isn't mahogany a really hard wood? I don't know. It sounds right. That sounds correct to me. So he's holding the accordion by the top. The observers on each side kept their feet on Mr. Holmes's feet to prevent any use of them. Now, I have heard in historical debunks and maybe movies that you can put one foot forward and then two people will put like their shoe on top of that one shoe. Like they'll both put their shoe on the edges and they both think that they have their own foot when it's just one and they've like pulled their other foot backwards and they like have a free foot. But I don't like that's for like knocking on the table with your knee and stuff. I don't know what you would do with your foot to play an accordion that's in a cage. Anyway, they made sure anyway that he wouldn't do it. Let's see. And one of Mr. Holmes's hands was placed on the table and carefully observed. So one hand is totally out of play. It can't do anything from up there. It's in view, unless it's a false hand. But why would he come with one of those like in his sleeve? I don't know. It's so weird. Wood and copper are conductors of electric. Is it this guy has a higher energy in his body? Like there's something with oh, she's a slider. SLI stands for streetlight interference. There's a whole subreddit. There's a group on Facebook of sliders. Um, yeah, that's a known thing. Yeah. Uh, maybe, maybe. So they've got their feet on his feet. He's got one hand on the table, and the other at first held the accordion by the top, but the rest of the accordion was completely inside the cage so as to be inaccessible. Held in this position, the accordion first began to vibrate and then to play tunes inside the cage. Mr. Crook avers, avers that, let me see, that he put his hand on the hand of Mr. Home, which held the instrument, and that he found it absolutely still at the very moment the instrument was playing. So he's holding it at the top, and the guy put his hand on top of his hand, and he wasn't doing anything. It's not moving, but the instrument is playing in the cage that they built that he didn't even know existed. I wonder if he could play the accordion. Like if you gave him one, does he even know how to play one? I don't know. Why an accordion? Anyway, uh, Mr. Crook. Oh yeah, he put his hand on his hand and found it absolutely still at the very moment the instrument was playing. Nay, he asserts, as we have already stated, that when Mr. Home removed his hand altogether and put them both above the table, the accordion continued to float and play tunes inside the cage with no apparent support. So now they're looking under the table while he's got his hands on the table and his feet on the floor with their shoes on his feet. They're looking, and that thing's still doing its thing. This is 3 scientists that are, like, trying to debunk this man. Of course, as we have said, these asserted facts must be taken with great reserve unless verified by sufficient repetition under every guarantee the scientific world may suggest. So they're saying, "Well, it happened once, but unless you can do it again." And it's like, dude, once is amazing. But should they be so verified, and we think the existing testimony is quite sufficient to make this hypothesis conceivable, a good many more matters should be carefully investigated. For instance, this whether any tune could be so played, which Mr. Home himself could not play on the accordion. Oh, so that's what I said. Okay. Or any which none of the persons present were able to play on the accordion, or any with which none of those present were even acquainted. So that could you play a song none of us even know? Or whether if none of these cases happened, it was only Mr. Holmes's knowledge of music. Like was he the only one that knew that song? Or indifferently that of any of the other persons present which the tune appeared to represent. So is it a song that only one of them knows to try to figure out where it's coming from? Who's doing that? Who's being like lifted from? One thing is certain, that if the facts asserted to be true at all, the force moving the accordion must be in some way connected with a musically educated mind. The wind does not execute even, quote, a well-known sweet and plaintive melody on the Aeolian harp. Is that a cool word for accordion? Aeolian. The movements of the accordion must clearly have been governed by the musical associations of some mind, and whether these were voluntary or involuntary, and either the one or the other is quite conceivable, it would be possible, one would think, to determine the mind in which they originated. So that they're trying to figure out who knew this song and who knows how to play the accordion and play that song on the accordion. This is super crazy to me. Supposing the fact established, there is in it little that is more wonderful than the power of absolutely writing by telegraph, so that specific vibrations given to the wires at one end cause given words to be written off at the other. For, of course, if there really be a, quote, nerve atmosphere of various intensity around each individual, end quote, the vibrations given to such an atmosphere by distinct acts of thought might produce corresponding contractions in the accordion. So they're saying Mr. Home is like a telegraph for music to play through the accordion, or for other things to happen, for weight to be pressed down on a board. They're saying he is like a telegraph taking those psychical vibrations and moving them into something else to achieve something. This is, however, purely speculative, but if those things are true at all, it must be determinable where the mental sources of the tune played by the accordion is. We have to know we can figure out who knows that song and who can play it. And no point could be of greater interest. The analogy would be close, though there would be one greater difference with established fact of the kind, sometimes called electrobiological. So, Kathy, you're on the right track, I think, with what they thought. We have been repeatedly assured by men of the highest trustworthiness that the power belongs to men of certain temperament, men, people of certain temperament, to influence by strong, silent will the action of certain other persons, so that by expending a great deal of silent effort, for instance, on the desire that a given man shall scratch the tip of his left ear, that man is at last compelled, with no knowledge whatever of the reason, to scratch the tip of his left ear. So they're saying they have tested Leanne. Hello. Hey, Stoner Jesus. How you doing? So they're saying they have shown that somebody sitting in a room trying to make you touch your ear in a certain spot can make you do that with without saying anything at all. So they've tested that and they say we know that this is possible. So how is the other thing? First bully? What does that mean? She used it to bully? Uh I think that you could I mean, I've made people like scratch their nose and stuff just by staring at it because they think, why are you staring at my nose? Is there something on it? You know what I mean? So I think that that's maybe different. I don't know. Mind control. I am okay, dude. I'm almost through the BS. Almost through the BS. It is going to get better, but I got to get through this part first. Okay, so the rest of this article. Almost done. We're almost done with this article. Uh, that such facts as these about the ear thing have been repeatedly verified is, we believe, certain. And the only difference in this case may be that the same kind of effect is produced on the motions of an inanimate object like an accordion, but certainly also not more impossible than others. What, however, we now wish to insist on is that there is prima facie evidence, a true bill found, which ought to be sent for scientific trial in relation to this matter. Even Dr. Huggins declares thus much, and Dr. Huggins is an authority such as no scientific man will dare for a moment to dispute. Whether there be, quote, a new force on the eve of discovery is not yet proved, but that there is sufficient suspicion of the exertion of such a force to render it most desirable that the scientific world should either confirm or explode the hypothesis of its existence, and in the former case, study its laws, is hardly disputable. So, no worries. No one's interrupting anything. Like a strong personality. I don't know. I they don't know either, I think. I think they're saying like it takes a certain kind of person. Not everybody can do it. I think that's what it means. Like it takes a certain kind of person. So that was July 14th, 1871. And then I had taken the crossword off of that page. Oh, my computer is struggling right now. All right. So I had taken the crossword off of that page. So I had to get the next week's issue or the next day's issue to get the answers to the crossword. And when I did, I found, because I thought we could do the crossword from 1871, I thought it'd be fun. I found a second part, like a follow up to the Mr. Home investigation. And I thought, what? Because I wasn't even looking for this. The Portsmouth Recorder with Mr. Home, the spiritualist. According to the current number of Popular Science Review, Mr. D.D. Home, the notorious spiritualist, has been tested by Mr. Crooks, an eminent chemist, in the presence of Dr. Higgins, the astronomer, and Mr. Sergeant Cox, the recorder of Portsmouth. Mr. Holmes' former seances, says the Globe, used to be celebrated for something more than an unaccountable melody upon an accordion. So he started doing that like a lot, I guess. The furniture would move about. The grand piano, the chairs, the tables were endowed with locomotion and skipped round the apartment like rocks and woods at the lute of Orpheus, whilst shadowy hands were seen to quiver above the heads of the company. But this was not all. Mr. Holmes' person was levitated. So his body, he himself was levitated or raised in the air to the very ceiling, and his friends insist that on one occasion he passed in this way out of one window and in at another. A still more remarkable fact remains to be told. Mr. Holmes suffered elongation. His stature was increased by several inches, and he shortly afterwards contracted to his original size. So when I read that, I was like, this dude's a magician, and he's putting on shows for his friends. Then it sounds like he's done the accordion thing before, so that tells us why they used an accordion for that experiment, is because he had success with it in the past. But whose accordion was it? I don't know. So he got taller by several inches and then shrunk to his original size, and I feel like there's a way to do that, but I don't know it. In the presence of Dr. Crooks, Dr. Huggins, and Sergeant Cox, an accordion was placed in a sort of cage under the table, and Mr. Home caused it to play a tune while touching it only with the tips of the fingers on one hand. The observer, it is said, satisfied himself that neither Mr. Holmes's other hand nor his feet assisted in producing sound from the accordion. The discovery, says the Saturday Review, has been recently announced of a new force, quote, in some unknown manner connected with the human organization for convenience may be called psychic force. Do you guys have these stupid little gnats everywhere? Because I do. Driving me crazy. Anyway. If you command a table or a chair to remove itself from your dining room to the street, and if it does remove itself accordingly, which is improbable, you will have exhibited psychic force. That's your test. You got to tell your furniture to go outside. It appears, however, probable that this force is possessed only by, this is more along what you were saying, Kathy, a few favored persons, among whom the most conspicuously endowed is our old acquaintance, Mr. D.D. Home. It appears that for the present, either Mr. Home has dropped the spirits or the spirits have dropped him, and he now professes fruit flies and, oh, God. I think it's because I'm growing basil, and it, like, always needs water. Anyway. So Mr. Home, who I think is a magician, is no longer saying he's doing it with the help of ghosts as a medium, and now it's just he's all powerful, right? And the science experiments that they did to say maybe he's got some sort of extra power has gone straight to his head. And now he's like, I'm so powerful. I am powerful. You're right. Ugh. I've done that before. These are pretty stupid, though. They land in a bowl of water. Let's see. So now he professes to perform miracles, not by the assistance of spirits, but by an innate power of his own soul. It is fair to Mr. Crooks to notice that the term psychic force, which he uses, was not invented by himself, but by a local coadjutor in his experiments. Mr. Sergeant Cox, who, in a letter appended to the article, vouches for the accuracy of the description therein contained. So he's saying, I didn't coin the term psychic power. Psychic force, sorry. Psychic force was coined by Sergeant Cox. So if you ever use that word, you know it came from Cox. You've told the mess to get out of your house, but I know. I'm telling you. The learned sergeant, maybe he is a sergeant, because sergeant here is in lowercase, advances further than Mr. Crooks, for he considers that the experiments which he witnessed have conclusively established that, quote, there is a force proceeding from the nervous system capable of imparting motion and weight to solid bodies within the sphere of its influence, end quote. We do not know whether Mr. Sergeant Cox is desirous of appropriating himself to the character which Cobbett invented for Brougham, but we think it probable that Brougham, it's Brougham, so Brougham, I guess, could have talked, if occasion had arisen, about, quote, psychic force, until some people might believe that he really had assisted in the discovery of a new branch of science. Some lawyers, when they are tired of law, take to theology by way of change. Mr. Sergeant Cox has sought agreeable relaxation by inventing the new study of psychism, to which he may henceforth devote the hours which he can spare from his profession. So that's his hobby. We venture to express the hope that law may not suffer in order that science may be benefited. The experiments which Mr. Crooks made and Mr. Sergeant Cox observed may perhaps be called scientific, but we should rather feel disposed to view them as experiments upon the capacity of mankind for yielding to any pretension which is at once new and bold. We remember that Mr. Home was formerly, now we're learning about his character. Oh, those little condiment, these. So Mr. Home, this is what kind of guy he is, okay? Was formerly defendant in a suit in Chancery, by which an elderly lady recovered against him a large sum of money which he had obtained from her under representations which the court held to be part of a system of, quote, mischievous nonsense, well calculated to delude the weak and superstitious, and to assist the projects of the needy and adventurous. One of these representations was that Mr. Home held intercourse, not sexual, oral, like spoken intercourse, uh, with the spirit of the lady's deceased husband. So he spoke to her dead husband and separated her from her money. And she sued him and she won. And the judge called it mischievous nonsense. This is all what debunking is about. So that's crazy. This is 1871. This was during the period when Mr. Home called himself a medium and promulgated, as Mr. Crooks says, this is quote, quite another theory of the origin of that which is now called psychic force. Do we know he didn't do the naughty with the... We don't know that. That's true. And yes, that is huge for back then, right? I was reading this like, shoot, this is freaking 1871 and they were already... This is really cool for a woman to win. Yeah. A widow. No man. She ain't got no man. And they were like, you are preying on the vulnerable, sir. There is an ancient saying. It's in Latin. You're going to have to bear with me. Noscitur associus, which we commend to the attention of Mr. Crooks. If he can find a person who does not possess the peculiar reputation of Mr. Home, and who does possess the property, whatever it be, of evoking music from an accordion and deflecting a board from the horizontal line by the mere juxtaposition of his fingers, it will be quite soon enough to consider the proposal of Mr. Sergeant Cox for the formation of a quote psychological society which shall especially devote itself to psychism. So they're saying if you can find somebody who can do this who isn't a douchebag. But snow deep. Oh, I know, right? Yeah. Who knows what I just said in Latin? I don't know, man. Who knows? You're welcome. Now it's gonna snow here. Uh so they're like, find somebody who's not a douchebag, who hasn't already proven themselves to be a faker. He's fake. He fakes his stuff. He faked it in court. He was found guilty of being a fake. So they're like, don't use him. But it's possible. This is douchebag's advocate here. It's possible that he was doing cool stuff with some abilities and then got the greed got seeping in there and started to make him think he could take advantage of it. And people, I'm sure, presented themselves to him and said, please, can you tell me what my dead husband said? I'll pay you. And he didn't have, even if he could do other cool stuff, he didn't have the integrity to say, I don't do that. Keep your money. So it's possible that he could still do things, but not that thing. But I don't know, because it all sounds like illusions, Michael. In the meantime, till we find that guy that's not a douchebag. In the meantime, we beg to assure the learned sergeant that the study of psychology has not been so much neglected as he supposes, and indeed that branch of it which teaches how the minds of ordinary men and women may be influenced by pretensions to supernatural power has been cultivated with remarkable assiduity. Assiduity? Assiduity? In recent years, both in this country and America. I don't know where this was. Portsmouth? That's England, yeah? Ask Beardo where Portsmouth is. Our own notion is that Mr. Home, finding that spirit rapping has become discredited, debunkers, has endeavored to start himself in his old business under a new name. Ugh, they always do that, don't they? File for bankruptcy and then start up a new LLC, which, like other enterprising persons, he has borrowed from the Greek language. We expect that he will now proceed to advertise that readings from the poets and emanations of psychic force will be given by Mr. Home, who is open to engagements in town and country. He is as well entitled as others to prosecute the trade by which he lives. So they're like, if that's what he wants to do to make money, let him do it, I guess. As long as he's not hurting anybody, like the widow that sued him for his shirt. Anyway, this is crazy to me. I thought, well, that is really cool that that was even going on. That's really cool. I'm freezing. I've got the heater like turned up. I'm gonna turn it up again because I'm freaking freezing. Why are none of my socks staying straight? They're all getting all twisted up. Oh, 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 freaking cold. Oh, it's been almost an hour and that's all I've done. Oh my god. All right, well, I'm gonna pick one more because I have so many of these, you guys. I have so many articles that I've saved just for this, for spooky for you, especially because you guys said you liked the old newspaper thing, and I think this is super fun. So I am gonna read you. I know it might end my stream if I do this, but I'm gonna read you an article, one more, and as I go, oops, what just happened? Help, help, police. I want you guys to picture what I'm talking about. And then at the very end, I will show you a picture of it so that you guys can see it and see if it is what you were picturing. Because when I read this, I was laughing my butt off. Oops. There he is. All right. So I can see the chat and I can read this article. Here we go. So this is this is the Oakland Tribune, and this is April 28th, 1994. So like 20 years ago in Oakland, California. The headline is Strange Blue Furry Creature is No Cookie Monster. You sent a psychic mind thought to your socks and it worked. Socky Twisty is an ancient curse. Oh my God. Well, it's been happening for days. Make it stop. Somebody's got some little voodoo doll or twisting its feet. All right. This is worth it, you guys. This is going to be super fun. And it's a cryptid story. And I can't wait. I'm going to show you the picture, the artist rendering at the end. And then I might have to end and go finish the park. Okay, so this is Tacoma, Washington in the Oakland newspaper. So Tacoma, Washington. It's written so perfectly for this. The engine died and the dashboard lights fell dark. Although he hadn't applied his brakes, the pickup truck he was driving stopped suddenly, abruptly, square in the middle of the road between the edge of the forest and a scrubby, clear-cut field. His headlights cut a hole through the night. He sat wondering what was wrong. Then he saw the feet descending. Bird feet, claw feet, then the legs, the torso, the chest, and the wings folded, attached to the back of broad shoulders, then the head, that face. The creature, 9 feet tall, 30 feet away. These are all separate sentences, just so you know. I'm pausing because there's a period. Blue tinted fur, yellowish eyes, tufted ears, and sharp, straight teeth. With a dust raising thud, it landed. Brian Campfield, 18, our witness here is 18 years old, held tight the steering wheel. He was alone and on his way home from Buckley, Washington, to the isolated settlement of Camp 1, located in the Mount Rainier foothills above Lake Kapowsin. This all sounds like fake places. I know it's not, but it sounds like it. At 9:30 p.m. a week ago, Saturday night. Birdman. Oh my God, Michael Keaton, it's you. No hallucination. He doesn't drink. He doesn't take drugs. This guy definitely watched like Outer Limits. Anyway, he's a high school senior known locally as an average normal kid. That's like the meanest thing you can say to a high schooler. Quotes. It was standing there staring at me like it was resting, like it didn't know what to think, Canfield says. I was scared. I don't know why I'm doing like a Bill and Ted voice for him, but that's what I picture for him. It raised the hair on me. I didn't feel threatened. I just felt out of place. We're sitting in a camper outside the Canfield home a few days after the encounter. I'd heard Brian's story from a neighbor and I'd asked for an interview. He is no fan of heavy metal music. Oh, so you can't blame the devil. And he's never played Dungeons and Dragons, so he's not into fantasy because he was stoned. It sounds like he's not a nerd. I ain't no square. He's never seen a UFO. He remains baffled by what he saw. Quote, its eyes were yellow and shaped like a piece of pie. I'm amazed he didn't say pizza. Okay. with pupils like a half moon. So this guy has comic books, 100%. And what is this, 94? He's watching the Batman animated series. He's got the Dark Knight comic series. Like, he's he's a comic book nerd, but he ain't no D&D nerd. Anyway, shaped like a piece of pie with pupils like a half moon. The mouth was pretty big, white teeth, no fangs. The face was like a wolf. The mushrooms. Hey, Tina, that's so accurate. The moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie. Oh my God. Can he smell anything? Hear anything? I ask him to close his eyes and remember. I love whoever wrote this. He can hear the wind. He smells gasoline. He'd been having trouble with his carburetor. Quote, it's looking right at me, like in a deep stare, like right through me. It's standing perfectly still. It stood for how long? A few minutes, several minutes. Then its fingers twitched and its wings began to unfold. Those wings were as wide as the road. It was this. Quote, it turned its head and looked back at me and started flapping its wings, Canfield says. Then slowly it rose. And so great was the turbulence, the truck began to rock and sway. Slowly, the creature flew off in the direction of Mount Rainier. This is written by C.R. Roberts. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl. I just had to put their name in it. Scared stiff. Quote, a few minutes later, the truck just started, Canfield says. I took off as fast as I could. He drove home. Quote, I just flew in the house. I woke up my mom and dad up, and I told my dad to grab the gun and a camera and come with me. While he was getting dressed, oh, take your time, please. I told him what happened. I almost couldn't breathe. It sounds like you should be in track. His mother, Sandra, I could tell something was wrong the way he ran in. He said, really, I gotta talk to you. We just gotta talk. They went into the living room. He was shaking. Quote, his mouth was dry? How does she know that? Ew. His mouth was dry. He was pale. His hair was still standing on end. That was the style in the 90s. Haven't you ever heard of NSYNC? That's just how it looked. Sandra says. She handed him a tablet and he began, not like a, this is 94. So it's like a tablet, a paper tablet, like a legal pad. And he began to draw what he'd seen. A few minutes later, they visited a neighbor. So they didn't go rushing out to see it with the camera. They got dressed and had a chat and drew pictures and then went to the neighbor's house. Uh, let's see. A man who knows the woods. And they soon drove back to that spot on the road. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure it's still there. We don't know how he greets as well. Yeah, apparently a French greeting. Within the silence and the night, they found no trace of the creature. Dude, if that thing was still there, it ain't gonna hang out for a bunch of time while you chill with your family and have dinner and be like, I'm sure he's coming back. Naming the mystery. Canfield told his story at school early last week. Some friends believe him, and some have begun to tease him. No. One friend helped him with the sketch, and others have come up with a name for the creature. Are you guys ready for this? Are you ready for this? It may sound familiar if you watch The Shape. This was Bat Squatch. Oh, no footprints. He was on the street. Dude, Bat Squatch. Quote, I'm really not into this stuff, Canfield says. It boggles my mind really hardcore. I really can't explain it. It's weird, definitely weird. I don't like it. Usually stuff like this happens to someone else. Dude, he's in the paper. He's in the newspaper with us. This past week, I've spoken both with neighbors and with Canfield's family. I believe his story. I believe he saw something that night a week ago. I have no idea what he saw. I've spoken with experts on legends and creatures, and none knows of a being such as this. It, quote, it did happen. I'm willing to put my life on it, he says. I just have this picture in front of my head, the picture of it standing there. I can't get rid of it. It's just there. I kind of wish it didn't happen. That's the voice I do for like everybody, by the way. News Tribune illustration from a sketch by Dave Keel. If I could zoom in a little more. Okay. Okay. I've got the sketch. I'm going to try to share the screen, everybody. Don't be afraid. Let me see. Share screen. I don't know what's going on. How about just entire screen? That works. All right, entire screen. Share. All right, I think you guys can see the whole screen. I don't know if you're ready either. You want to see Bat Squatch? All right, thumbs up if you can see like my whole screen. And don't judge how many tabs I have open. I have a problem. I'm a newspaper addict. These are all newspapers.com. Like newspapers.com. No screen. Is it black? Let me see. Just see me. Okay, so let me see. Share tab audio. Window. This one? No. Entire screen. This one. Share. We just see you. I wonder if I can. What a big build-up. Ugh, if I have to just take a picture of this, then I will. Ridiculous. All right, whatever. I'm just going to show it to you then. He does, right? Okay. So since it won't let me do that, I took a picture. This is Bat Squatch. You weren't ready. You weren't ready. Look at those legs, them thighs. He has really high knees. I'll never sleep now. Bat Squatch. Look at his like giraffe antennas, his little fuzzy giraffe head ball things. You are welcome, you guys. You are welcome. I found Bat Squatch. I went back to the 90s for this. Look at his Batman wings and his weird nose and his pie eyes. He's got pie eyes with half moon. He's got nicks and jowls like a bobcat. He's got sharp, pointy teeth. Half piece of pie. No junk. I was not. I, oh, wait a minute. His fingernails. There you go. There's something for you. Some weird looking fingernails. This kid was in the newspaper because he saw Bat Squatch. You're welcome. He looks like the stuff my brother used to draw in high school. Yikes. And what's with that? Like, he has like a half boob, like a one boob that kind of sinks off to one side. I don't know what's going on here. I can't unsee that. Well, you're welcome. The ear tufts. Oh, that's what that is. Because he is a bobcat. I bet it was just a bobcat. I bet it like jumped over his car. Now that I'm looking at myself and not my news articles that I've been reading, I'm sorry you've had to look at this whole time because I am not at my best. But at least you got to see that squatch, and you're welcome. So, let's see. I was going to just end on that so that you guys have to have those nightmares. But if you want, I can end on. Oh, I have some pages that are like that newspaper that I found. All weird stories. Everything on it is sketchy, creepy, and weird. Terrible news. So I have a few full pages that I've saved for this um, when we have more time. Uh, let's see. I have some ghost stories that were in the newspaper. I have some stuff about like pandemics back then and stuff. Really cool. He saw you, but no one believes him. I believe in Bat Squatch. We should put that on a t-shirt. Bat Squatch is real. Wait until the shape uses. I know. I'm telling you, man. That Squatch was, let me make sure. Let me see what day that. Oops. My computer's like super slow when I'm live streaming. At some point, we'll do the crossword puzzle too. Oh, I was going to taste those drinks. Let's see. Bat Squatch was Thursday, April 28th, 1994. And this was the preceding Saturday night, I think. Who knows? It was such a big buildup of him. He was driving. It was late. He smelled gasoline. Yeah, I feel like the rest of these are pretty much like they're pretty long. So I may call it a day and go finish the park. But I will tell you this tawdry. You guys have probably heard the word tawdry before. Save the drinks for Monday. I think so too. Thank you. I would totally wear that. So, a curious bit of English history. I don't know if you guys watch Rob Words. I like having news articles in front of my face so I don't have to look at myself. This is nice. Anyway, a curious bit. I love Rob Words. A curious bit of English history is preserved in the word tawdry. This is from that same 1871 newspaper, I think. Uh, it acquired its present meaning from the phrase tawdry laces, a corruption of St. Audrey laces sold at St. Audrey's Fair, which was the same as St. Ethelreda's Fair. Ethelreda was Queen of Northumberland and abbess of Ely, and died in the year 679. So in the year 679, they sold laces for like corsets and stuff. And they called them tawdry laces as a reference to Saint Audrey. Anyway, I thought that was neat. So now if anybody ever says tawdry, you can say Saint Audrey. And they'll be like, what? And you'll be like, what? I don't know. I heard it somewhere. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. Okay, so this was cool, I think. I hope you guys enjoyed this little trip to history. And I will do a historic debunk, but now it means old and tattered. Does it? I thought it meant like scandalous and ooh, look at her. I don't know. Now I want to look it up. If I look it up, I'm afraid my stream will end. It keeps cutting off when I'm using my hotspot. Uh, but anyway, I will put out a history's debunk of the week. More useless. I know. You're welcome, Saint Tawdry. I'm not the expert. Thank you, Kathy Lee. Yay! Discord link in the live chat replay. Yeah, I think this is super fun, and I love that I have you guys and that you're interested in this, because as I go along looking for actual like ghost stories and history and stuff like that, I find these cool little things that I was not looking for, and I save them, and now I have a reason to do that because I can share them with you here. You know what? Okay, I have another one. I have one more, and then I'll go. Promise. This is just one little snippet. It's 2 sentences long, but I kept it because it is fascinating to me. It's from 1935. It says, "Bird builds nail nest. Edmonton, Alta, September 5th, 1935. UP. A wren has built a nest from nails in Mervyn Bruce's backyard. The bird wove 336 nails, some of them 2 inches in length, together by pieces of wire." What? That is a hardcore, like, metal bird. That bird is metal. Did it hurt its eggs? Did it even land in it? Did it were which way up? I would love to see a picture of this. I wish it still existed. It's metal. I'm sure it would have still goth bird. That's so cool. Who counted them? I don't know. Maybe I guess he probably told the newspaper and somebody, I don't know. That's a good question. I wish there has to be a place that keeps weird stuff like this. In Edmonton. If anybody knows anybody in Edmonton from 1935, Mervyn Bruce had this metal bird nest that's pretty badass. All right. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. I am going to try to finish the apples I've been neglecting and before I go finish the park. I have a ton of trash to pick up. So I'll be up all night. I'll be up all night. Let me see. I did edit a story time video, but I did not release it today because I think that it's not a great video. It's not filmed from a good angle. It's just it's not the greatest. So I think I might make it members only with the approval of our storyteller. But yeah, I don't know. I'll think about it. And then the other story time that I have, I only got the last part because our storyteller forgot to hit record. So thank you, Stoner Jesus. Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Leanne. Thank you, Kathy. You guys are awesome. And Mr. Prism was here too. I appreciate you guys being here so much. And this community is so awesome. And I'm so grateful to be a part of your day. And I cannot wait until we do this again. I'm going to be looking at newspapers all day, every day, forever now. So expect more of this. And I will post the nail nest article and the bat squatch picture in the Discord so that you guys can make it your phone screen, make it your background. You can look at your bat squatch all the time. You're welcome. All right. You guys are awesome. And I will see you on Maryland Monday, where I'll try those weird drinks and wait till you see them. I don't know what they are. No idea. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You guys are the best. Love, 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 love. Yay. And I'll see you Monday. Maybe. There it is. Okay. Bye, everybody. Thank you.